Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Project Delta. This episode is going to be available until March 24th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Woohoo, I got one out on time. Anyways, yeah, it's been a day. If you watched the actual episode that's released today, then I have been running around so much, and to the point that ironically, the thing that delayed last episode is what has me running around this episode too, because, well, I had to redo basically everything I did for that episode. Or, no, not everything I had to do for that episode, but I did have to redo parts of that. And, I mean, I guess you'll see why in the video itself, but I want to use this episode to talk a little bit about, how do I put this? I mean, I guess I just say U.S. politics. Woohoo! Now, don't worry. I'm not going to be getting into, like, any specifics of politics like, things that people are actually going to disagree with, because honestly, I feel like I disagree with everyone. Yeah, whatever you believe in, I disagree with you. Just trust me on that. I definitely disagree with you. Trust me. So just get that in your brain that whatever you agree with, I agree with the opposite, and that is my political view, definitely. Okay, except maybe that thing, except maybe that one thing. Maybe I agree with you on that, but everything else I disagree with you with. Yeah, and the Earth is flat. Anyways, let's talk about marijuana and the legislative filibuster. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Okay, so if you live in the States and you've ever, like, been interested in trying to get your hands on the green stuff, the 420, the whatever you want to call it, then you know what Delta 8 is. And, I mean, even if you haven't, you probably know what it is. But Delta 8 is essentially fully legal weed. Now, a lot of people outside the States are probably a little confused right now because, like, the common sentiment is that weed is essentially, like, completely legal federally, and then the states, like, some states have it legal and some states don't. And that is the case, at least for, like, quote-unquote real marijuana, like, derived from the marijuana plant, I guess. But Delta 8 is different because it still gets you high, but it's derived from hemp, which is technically a different plant and is classified as a different plant, and therefore it's legal because a few years ago there was a massive bill passed that made hemp legal, and then people realized you could use hemp to make what is essentially just weed. But it's I know any weed heads out there are probably like, oh, it's not real weed, but it is basically weed. It is just basically weed. And the point is, it became fully legal federally, but the problem is the way it was made legal was through a loophole. Now, most governments that work would have probably just sealed that loophole or tried to regulate it, because the problem with it becoming legal through a loophole is that it basically had zero regulations. Whenever Delta 8 first started hitting shelves and markets, it was basically able to be sold legally to almost anyone. You didn't need, like, a weed card or, like, even to show ID in some cases, because technically it was just hemp. It was basically the same as if you bought a menthol cigarette, which you could do, like, you know, I think in a lot of cases it's like to buy anything like inhalants, you have to be over the age of 16 in most cases. Like, I think a lot of states have regulation around that, but essentially if you're over 16, you could have essentially bought weed. And, like, I don't think I can begin to state how crazy that is. I know in, like, some countries that is, like, just the normal state of things, of being able to buy that stuff legally and being able to buy real weed, but this was completely unregulated, and it was made legal through a loophole, and it was while actual weed was still completely illegal federally, and you could get thrown in prison, and it was also legal throughout, like, all the states as well. But the problem is, the Senate basically couldn't do anything to regulate it because one side wanted weed to be legal, and this was kind of a step in that direction, and the other side didn't want any of it legal. Ironically, the side that controlled the Senate was the one that didn't want any of it legal at the time. Cool, so obviously they would have sealed the loophole because they had a 51 vote majority, but yeah, that's not what happened, because then anytime a law came up that tried to regulate it, the filibuster happened. Now, for those who aren't aware, the filibuster is basically where you can make it to where you need 60 votes to pass anything in the Senate rather than 50. Now, there's a bit of a misconception around the filibuster in the US. A lot of people think that to filibuster, it requires the opposing party to stand up and talk the entire time during the filibuster. But that's actually not the case at all. There have been rules that have basically been put in place that make it to where if you want to filibuster, all you have to do is say you're going to filibuster, and then literally no one will show up. Like, the Senate just closes. Like, nothing gets done. Nothing gets done at all, despite the fact that, like, people would like things to get done. And the problem is it just puts everything in deadlock because neither side can get anything passed. Because you need 60 votes out of 100 to do anything. And have you ever heard of 60% of anyone agreeing on anything? The answer is no. Like, I truly believe the filibuster is one of the main things that is just destroying, like, the US's ability to function right now. And the problem is, neither side wants to get rid of it because they know that eventually the other side that they don't like is going to get into power, and the filibuster is going to be their only way to stall and slow things down. But the problem is, that other party is in power. I know you might disagree with them, but if they're in power, that's because they were voted into power by democracy. Therefore, they should have the ability to get things done one way or another. Whether or not you like it, they should. And this applies to both parties. Both parties do it. And it has made it to where the legislative branch of the US has become basically useless. And it has also made it to where other branches of the government, which are supposed to be separate and have a separation of powers, they've had to take more power because the Congress and the Senate can't do anything. And it is a perfect excuse for those branches to take even more power because nothing gets done on one of the branches. And the truth is, like, if that party's in power, then they should be allowed to get what they're proposing done, because if they don't, then nothing gets done. And besides, a functioning democracy means that the people who are in power actually have power. If they don't, then no one has any power, nothing gets done, and things just become bogged down in bureaucracy. There are, like, so many more, like, there's so much more minutia behind all of this, but, like, the point is, if you've ever wondered why it seems like nothing ever gets done in Congress or the Senate other than just slowing things down or becoming political bureaucracy, that's why. It's because you need 60 votes to get literally anything done, and that is not good. That's just not good. People need to be able to test their theories. Whether they are right or wrong, they need to be able to test their political theories or their political agendas. And you know what? If they're wrong, then that party gets voted out of power and a different thing is tried. It just makes no sense right now what we have, because it is essentially the perfect scapegoat for people to not get anything done. It is just dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional. And I really think Delta 8 and the legalization through a loophole of everything is, like, the perfect example of it. That's the same reason gambling is now legal, the same reason Uber has taken over taxi. It's because things move too fast now, and the legislative branch cannot handle it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish I had more time. I've actually already sped up this audio clip to try and fit everything in, but I still feel like I had no time. Honestly, I might end up talking about this more in tomorrow's episode too, but yeah, alright, bye-bye.